Don't stop, go, go, get it, get it.
What's going on, everybody? Today is going to be a little bit different video. I've never done one of these before, and I don't really want to base my whole entire channel or content or whatever. I don't want to base it off of like how-to videos and stuff, but since I've been doing introductions and introducing my rides to the channel and to the content, I figured that I might as well do build updates and stuff with the riding content. So today I'm going to be adding some things that I bought for the new 250, and that includes this box full of goodies right here. We've got some handlebars and some grips and bark busters, and we're going to do an oil change and all that good stuff. But I'm going to I guess pretty much put it on time lapse, and I may talk a little bit throughout the process of installing all this stuff. But I'm gonna get started on, I guess, doing the oil change first, and then after that we'll do the handlebars and such. But anyway, hope you kind of enjoy this different style. I don't know how I'm gonna like it, but hey, there's always a first for everything. I'm willing to try it out. So I gotta see what size bolts. Looks like 8mm. Hopefully you can hear me pretty good. It's a little toasty today, so I've got the fan going. I hope I don't blow dirt up in my eyes. I probably should have washed this thing before I decided to pull it up in here. This is actually my first time doing this. So, oh, I guess just pulled in. This is my first time doing the service on this bike, so apologize if it's a little off. You're gonna have a star bit. Alright, so that was 8mm to take the skid plate off, and I guess that's factory skid plate. Let's see about the only one that I've got that's twisted up too. T50. But yeah, we're gonna try making a video about this. I'll see how I like it. See how I like editing it. I always like filming. Let's see. So yeah, we come with another crush washer. We'll see if it's the same size. Looks like the oil filter housing is also a 8mm. Boy, that is a small filter. That's a little bitty filter. I'm going to tilt the bike here in just a sec. I thought that oil change kit, I thought it come with a new O-ring for this, but I guess not. But it ain't no big deal. And also there's a little a little spring in here. Watch out for it whenever you go to tilt your bike over and drain the oil out, because that tends to fall out. Alright, now we'll tilt the bike over a little bit, get the rest of the oil out. Anybody that's watched the video so far, I got this bike on a trade, so it's a 2024, so I don't think it could have very many hours on it or miles, but just for my sense of security, I'm gonna change the oil on it, just so I know it's been done. And plus I installed a hour meter, so I can keep up with oil changes and maintenance and stuff on it. But anyway, it looks like it's about, I'm not going to sit here and wait all day on that to drain. I am going to take a rag, wipe this extra out right here. I don't know the torque specs for this, and like I said, this is not a torque spec type video. This is me, redneck from Tennessee, changing oil in his dirt bike. That's tightened to that ain't going nowhere torque spec. Alright, next is the drain plug back in, and that also is going to get the it ain't going nowhere torque spec. Good enough. I'm going to grab some brake clean, and I'm going to spray the bottom of the motor off, so that way it's not running all over my daggone skid plate and dripping out and all this, that, and the other. So we're going to spray it off real quick. Let's see what's up next on the chopping block. I think what we got next is doing the handlebars. I bought another set of handlebars, which there ain't nothing wrong with these. It's just, I'm putting bark busters on, because in my first video about this bike, I was fussing about these items, these ugly white and ugly green hand grips, so I'm gonna do away with them. I'm gonna have to get all this stuff off, so be patient and we'll get it off. 4mm, all right? We'll get these zipped off. Oh, I'm so glad to see these going. I hated these things. The factory ones that come on these bikes are red, and I don't know if that dude broke them before me or what, but I would assume to have the red ones like we're putting back on it anyway here in just a second. But what brought on the bark busters is, like I said, I was knocking these anyway because I'm not really a fan of them, but I laid it over up here in the woods at the house, and I skinned up my hand a little bit. And I had bark busters on my old dirt bike, so that was definitely a necessity to go on this bike because I did like them. Them bolts were bent anyway and loose, swapping around. So I was glad to see them gone. Alright, so I'm gonna work on getting these hand grips off. I'm gonna see what I need to get side off. It looks like a little star maybe, or a little Allen. I'm not gonna worry about telling y'all sizes on these because I don't know, probably not all gonna be the same anyway. Toss these to the side. That's 8mm, I think. I'm gonna leave this together for right now until I'm ready to go back with my other one. We're gonna let this dangle. But anyway, this is a number 2 Phillips to remove this. This is part of the bike. I'll give y'all a little heads up on this. Sometimes these things you can loosen that on up. We'll let it dangle. Actually, I'm gonna take it off because I don't wanna lose that. I need 8mm for this, and we're about to see if this seals off really good, which I hope it does. Hopefully this thing doesn't leak. Run them bolts in a little bit so they don't fall off. Them was the 8mm to take off. Hopefully that doesn't start leaking. Go ahead and get this bar pad off. No, it ain't leaking. Okay, good. I gotta go over here and get this clutch lever off and the kill switch. These are 8mm as well. To get them off, pull them off and put them right back in there so we don't lose them. That's the best way to do it, if you can put the bolts back in it. That way you ain't gotta worry about losing them or nothing. Run them in a little bit, and then I'm gonna need number 2 Phillips to take that back off. I'm gonna let that dangle. I'm gonna lay this right here so I don't lose it. Now the only thing we like is taking the bars off. And I think that is a 12mm. No, I lied. It's a 10mm. Alright, I'm going to break these loose first with a ratchet and a crisscross pattern. Now, the bars that I bought, they actually came with the risers and stuff. Now we can use impact. We'll take these off. I will have to have a, oh yeah, by the way, I bought a steering stem nut since I was right here. They make an anodized nut. Don't have to have it. Nothing's wrong with mine. It's not stripped out. It's not broke. Nothing like that. I'm gonna take this steering stem nut off. I'm not exactly sure what size it is. It's not that size of that adjustable wrench. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you what it is. It's tight. Sorry about that. My papa will come up here. Me and him got to talking and I forgot to cut the camera off. I didn't go nowhere. All right, let's get the risers for the handlebars, nut and washer. Before I tighten these up, I'm gonna do the reverse of what I done earlier. I'm gonna put the bars in there before I tighten it up, because if not, it's just gonna sit there and spin. Get these started down in here. Figure out what size this Allen wrench or this Allen bolt is. All right, so these are a 6mm. I'm gonna have to swap out bits. Get the bars out, take the bar pad off. We'll put that on in just a second. I love these Pro Taper bars. They're a good bar. All the dirt bikes I've owned, which I've only owned this and another one, but I've put them on both of them and I really like their bars. They're a real heavy duty aftermarket bar. I'm just gonna snug these down for now. I'll set them once I run these nuts up with this, and then ooh, it's a different size. The tusk nuts are bigger. So these are actually an 18mm. All right, now let's run them up with this and we'll tighten it with get the ratchet and we'll tighten them up. You want these to be pretty tight because you don't want your handlebars falling off. That'd be a bad day. All right, they were pretty tight. I guess now all that's left is to start putting some of this stuff back, get some grips on and the bark busters. I'm going to reverse what we done taking it off, so I'm gonna slide this back on. Actually, I'm gonna leave it loose for right now, just for right now. That was an 8mm for the clutch perch. All right, back to this. Sorry, I had to go change my battery, it died. I gotta run them bolts in. Let's go get the grips. I also went with the Pro Taper clamp-on grips, red and black, to go with our red Honda dirt bike. Next on the chopping block's probably gonna be this purple seat cover. Since I'm putting bark busters on this bike, I'm gonna have to cut this end out, and they actually make a special tool for that, which is right here. I'm gonna go punch this out and I'll be right back. Now that we've punched a hole in the end of our grips, I've got to get a small flathead screwdriver and prise this plug out at the end of my bars so that I can put my bark busters in. All right, now we got our plug out. There's a plug in the end of your bars. Take those out, and then we'll slide our grip on that we just smashed a hole in. I guess I'm gonna figure out what size this bolt is too while I'm up. It is a 3mm for these Pro Taper ones. So let's slide this all the way up and get it filled back where we want it, back somewhere right there. Let me get a 3/8 bit for my impact and we'll tighten that up. You don't want to go super tight with that because it's small, and I mean, it clamps on, so you ain't got to go super tight. Next, throw this back on, and that's back to our 8mm. Let me swap bits again. This is our 8mm for our master brake cylinder. I'm gonna leave all this stuff loose just in case if I have to move it for the bark busters. So we need our number 2 Phillips head again. Now let's snug this up a little bit so it don't fall off. These bark busters ain't bad to put on. I mean, if you've got some basic hand tools and stuff, they're pretty simple to put on. All right, so now that we've mangled the end of that up and got it cut out, let's take this apart. Slide this boot back a little bit so we can separate these. I wanted to buy this little aluminum tube, but they are a little pricey. Whenever you buy these hand grips for dirt bikes, if you didn't know it or not, they come with these plastic pieces that go over your throttle tube. Maybe one day I'll buy me an aluminum throttle tube too, but not today. We gotta find the one for a Honda, which I think is one of these 3 right here. Just gotta figure out the correct size. Oh, there's 4 right here actually. I think it's gonna be this one. There we go. Well, that was a lot easier. All right, I'm gonna put this back cable on first. When you're doing this, you kind of wish you had more hands. Let's get all of this pushed all the way down. Actually, before this flies apart on me again, I'm gonna throw these bolts in so it can't come off. And I have to fight them stupid cables again. We're gonna get this in as far as we can. Let's get our start button. Get it pushed back up. Get it tightened down. But now, we're ready to put the bark busters on. Let's get them out. All right, sorry about that. GoPro cut off again for being hot. It's pretty hot here in Tennessee. That's a 5mm. Those plugs that go on the end, they come with a rubber slip for bigger handlebars, but you can take that rubber slip off and it'll fit in the end of your handlebars. You just give it a tap and it'll go in there. Once you get it in there, you want to tighten down these bolts that go on the end. They are a 5mm hex head. Once you get the plug or those threaded inserts, once you get them in the end of your handlebars, then you want to tighten them down because it expands it and it grabs on your bars, and that's where your metal protector comes into play, like so. We'll just get it snugged down. Oh, I'm so glad to have these. My hands will thank me later. All right, next is to get the bar clamps, which I don't know what I've done with. They're laying, oh, right here they are. So next what you want to do is you want to get your bar clamps, which are these, and they will clamp on your bars for your bark buster to mount to. I'm gonna go figure out what, oh, and I think they're marked. Yeah, they are marked. They're marked right and left, R and L. So this is the left side, this is the right side. I'm gonna go figure out what size these Allen bolts are because I'm not exactly sure. I actually had the socket over here, so we'll get the left-hand side since we're already over here. But yeah, these aren't hard to put on. They're super simple, stupid simple. But anyway, I went with the Pro Taper 1/8" CR high bend. Alright, well, I kept on fighting this GoPro. It's hot here in Tennessee, and I kept on fighting this GoPro till I got sick of it. It was actually taking me twice as long to fight the GoPro as it was to actually finishing up the job. So, and I don't want this to be a super long video, but I'll show you what I've done and what the final product looks like. Man, don't them look good. That's the cleanest thing on this bike is them daggone hand grips, bark busters, whatever you want to call them. But this is the final product of the handlebar build. I might come back one day and put an aluminum throttle tube and replace this with aluminum part, which I think that's already metal anyway, but they make a red anodized, and if we're gonna be building this thing out, then we'll go into red. There's the steering stem nut. I don't know, you can see it a little bit right there. You're not gonna be able to see it when you're riding. Like I said, that's not something that had to been done, but well, I already had all that stuff off, why not go ahead and do it? But this is what it's gonna look like from the cockpit of the bike. The bark busters, the controls, everything's right here. It's got tusk right on the inside. These are really nice bark busters. Like I said, I had a set of them before, and they go really good with the Pro Taper handlebars. But got that big fat bar pad. I like that style. I don't really care for the style that goes across, but anyway, so basically the objective today was putting the bark busters on. You put these clamps on, get everything, keep everything loose. You thread your bolt in the end of here. These plastic pieces are just held on by these little silver screws here. So it's not nothing, you know, super difficult or hard to do, but anyway, leave everything loose till you get it where you want it, and then tighten it down. Don't forget to tighten down your handlebars like I did. I had to come out here and actually redo that. But everything's tightened down, everything's ready to go. We done the Pro Taper hand guards, or hand grips I mean. That got rid of that stupid ugly green color. Bark busters got rid of that stupid white one. We done our service. We put the anodized brake cover on, the anodized oil fill cap, and the oil filter housing cap, the rear brake master cylinder cap, and we changed the oil. That's gonna do it for today. Probably next up on the build, I'll probably be doing something about the front brakes here. There's a guard that's supposed to go there. I'll probably be doing that guard and maybe changing out this piece. I seen they made this piece in anodized red, but get me a guard to go on it. And then probably after that will be some foot pegs and trying to replace some of this plastic stuff, these plastic case savers and all that crap, chain roller and all that. Trying to replace some of that plastic stuff. But anyway, that's gonna do it for today for this video. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.